The movie begins with Santiago Pope Garcia, who works as a private military advisor, tasked with tracking down some of the drug lord's workers in the rural part of Colombia, along with the police force, with their main mission of getting valuable information about their leader, Gabriel Martin Larrea. As they head down towards a building where the workers are located, a gunfire suddenly emerges from the criminals. Then Santiago goes over to a well-covered location and fires a grenade launcher into the building, ripping through their hideout. Afterwards, Santiago and the armed police officers catch the criminal who survived the blast and question them, with the police intimidation and grave threats to reveal the location of the drug lord Larrea. Shortly after, one of the criminals starts talking, stating Larrea's location to be somewhere in the jungle, but the policeman does not believe him and thus eliminates him and the other main criminals. Moments later, the rest of the people held captive are getting arrested by the police when a woman amongst the group breaks loose and escapes from the police. Santiago and the police try to catch her by running as fast as they can, but fail to do so. Afterwards, Santiago takes a taxi and goes over to an apartment. As it turns out, the woman who escaped, Giovanna, is Santiago's informant and makes a deal with him to get her brother, who is among the ones arrested earlier, out of the police hands, and she would in turn reveal Larrea's location, along with his garnered money. Giovanna explains that she got a promotion and delivers vans full of money to Larrea's house in the jungle. She says that's where he keeps his money. She also lets him know that the policemen he is working with are actually affiliates of Larrea, who he bribes, and all this time Santiago has been chasing his own tail. Upon hearing this, he decides to put a trusted team together for a heist. He first meets with William Ironhead Miller, a former captain of the Delta Force, who tells him he will only join if Redfly does, who is Tom Redfly Davies, and so Santiago tracks down his old friend Tom, a former member of the Delta as well, who at this time is a realtor with a complicated family relationship and financial problems. Tom, along with Santiago, drives his daughter Tess to school. Santiago discusses the plan and tells him he made a deal with the agency there to keep 25% of any money they seize. He estimates that there is over $75 million in cash in Larrea's safe house. Although very tempted, Tom is still hesitant to join the heist, as it's highly risky and illegal. Santiago's next recruits are Francisco Catfish Morales, a former pilot, and Ben Miller, who is William's brother. Ben Miller, who is now a mixed martial arts fighter, has a match at the moment. Afterwards, Santiago meets them at the locker room, convincing them to join the mission. During the fight, Tom arrives and they discuss their entry plan. Santiago has made them fake passports, and they use that to go through immigration as powerline consultants. And once they're in the country, they're free from any facial recognition cameras, and so they'll be like ghosts. Upon hearing the well-thought-out plan, Tom finally agrees, and they make their way to Colombia. Afterwards, the team drives to the jungle, where Larrea's mansion is located, to inspect. They hide in the bushes and analyze their possibilities to enter. Santiago tells them that Larrea's family goes to church every Sunday and sends 3 guards with them to the 6:09 a.m. service, which leaves Larrea alone in his house with at least 3 guards. Momentarily, a van arrives with Giovanna inside, who Santiago asks to record him and the money in his house. Giovanna then comes face to face with Larrea to confirm a shipment, while recording what Santiago asked for, and eventually leaves without anyone noticing. Later that night, the crew are having drinks and William brings up the agency and when they will get here. Santiago then replies by saying he doesn't want to tell the agency, and thus telling them to do the heist themselves and keep all the money. He further explains that if the agency is involved, Larrea will find out and escape before they even try to catch him, given his connections with the police force. And after reminding them of how their lives are right now, the struggle they're in, they finally give in and agree to the plan. The group, wanting to minimize casualties, plans to move on the house while Larrea's family is at church. Tom estimates that they have approximately 40 minutes to get the job done, but they need an extra van to transport the money since the ones in the house are used by the family when they go to church. To which Santiago says he will have Giovanna set that up. The next day, Santiago meets with Giovanna to retrieve the recording and as well as to have her set an extra van in the house compound by offering to pay her $2 million and a safe exit out of the country. He meets with the crew later at a secluded area where they got themselves armor and guns to prepare for the heist. The crew arrives at the mansion on a rainy Sunday morning where they hide in the bush and wait for the family to leave. Momentarily, Giovanna arrives with the van, successfully does her part and leaves. Afterwards, the crew advances into the house. They quietly subdue the guards but cannot find Larrea or the money. They reform at the house's office and think they have been set up and they should leave immediately. Santiago then smells fresh paint in the room. Remembering Giovanna say his house is the safe, he realizes that the money is in the walls. Then he proceeds to punch and break open the walls, uncovering the stashed money. As the crew excitedly tear apart all the walls, they find out the money is far more than what they expected. With little time left, they rush to get as much money as they can in bags and quickly fill up the van. Santiago suggests to burn the house down after they leave in act of revenge against Larrea. While they were spreading the gas around the house, a secret cabinet opens. To their surprise, it's Larrea. As Larrea freakishly fires his gun everywhere, he shoots William but is instantly killed by Santiago. Luckily, they have medic kits with them, and they patch him up to stop the bleeding. They then kill the remaining guards before lighting the gasoline to burn the house. The fire quickly spreads out, and they leave the mansion shortly. As they head out, they notice Larrea's family approaching them, but they decide to drive slowly and pass them by. They stopped at an area where a whirring helicopter approached. Santiago also meets Giovanna and her brother to give them the money he promised. The crew measures the money's weight and finds it to be 6,000 pounds, meaning around $250 million, but encountered a problem as the helicopter cannot carry that much weight in a high altitude. But they couldn't leave any money behind and decide to just take the risk. With them are also Giovanna and her brother, giving them a ride over the border into Peru. After some time, Giovanna gets to her destination, where Tom confronts her asking if she knows their names because she is the only one who knows about them, but she assures him she only knows they served together from what Santiago told her. Moments later, Santiago comes over to give her their passports and $3 million, with 2 tickets to start a new life in Sydney, Australia. Giovanna asks how she can contact him, hinting that she has feelings for him, and although Santiago notices this, he wants to be professional and says she can't contact him. He tells Giovanna to take care of themselves, and the two end their communication in a bittersweet parting of ways. As the crew make their way of passing their last obstacle, being crossing over the Andes, the weight issue they feared finally showed its repercussions. The engine suddenly sputters, forcing them to unload some of the bags of cash or else they will die. Still being unable to cross over the Andes, they start losing altitude, leaving them no choice but to land. The sack net of the cash bag is making it harder to land safely, so they drop it and luckily land in an agriculture farm with no harm with the money sack in there as well. The villagers came over armed and tried to take the money. Santiago tries to calm them down, but as one of the villagers reaches for a weapon, Tom reacts by killing some of them. To compensate for the destruction of the fiend and the lives lost, Santiago offers the village chief some of their money. The chief accepts and lets them take their mules to help them carry the money bags. While walking with the mules, a young man stands there looking at them in vengeance for his father's death. The chief then tells the boy to step away as they paid for their mistakes in loads. On their way, they stop to take rest and sleep for the night in the forest. The next morning, they are traveling on a rocky mountain when suddenly one of their mules falls down with their cash bags due to the walking route being steep. After some time, they get to a place where they have to climb a mountain, and so they free the mules to continue on their own. After pulling all the money bags up onto the mountain with rope, they sit down for rest and the shivering cold forces Ben to burn some of the cash to make a fire. The morning comes, and they're carrying bags further up the rocky mountain when suddenly a gunfire comes toward them. They spread out to find the shooters, and Tom soon discovers a teenage boy holding a gun uphill. He then headshots accurately and thinks he solved the problem. The teenage boy who lost his father to Tom from prior is behind him. As Tom looks back, the boy immediately fires, hitting Tom in the head and instantly killing him. But the boy is also shot and killed by Santiago momentarily. Seeing Tom dead left his friends to drop to tears. William blames his brother Ben for Tom's death, implying that the fire he made with the cash is what signaled the enemy to find them. And as the two brothers started throwing hands at each other, Santiago notices the boy is from the village, assuring them it wasn't the fire, but the teenage boys from the village who have been tracking them for days, wanting revenge on Tom. And so he encourages them to continue with their plan because Tom's family deserves the money and so do themselves. And with that, they wrap up Tom's dead body and continue their journey as they walk through a snowy mountain. They approach the destination where a man will meet them with a boat. As of this time, though, they're 5 days late and begin to wonder if the boat is still around. So they decide to send one person, being Ben, to go over and check while they wait. Fortunately, Ben comes back with good news the next morning, telling them the boat is still there, and also giving him some money so the driver wouldn't leave, and also informs them that in the town nearby, there are over 20 armed teenagers looking for them. Recognizing that they're Larrea's gang, Santiago suggests they kill them all, but the rest of them strongly disagree, stating that they're not here to kill innocent kids. Santiago then starts to blame himself for everything that happened, saying he really thought they could do this and apologizes. After the heartfelt conversation, they decide to take the money they can carry and dump most of it into the abyss, as they can't take the money bags and Tom's body at the same time for such a long distance. Then Ben goes back to the boat without being seen, as the rest carry Tom's body toward the town. On their way, they notice an abandoned car in the forest. Shortly after, a teenage boy comes out turning the car lights with a gun pointed at them. Then Santiago, not wanting to kill any more teenagers, puts his gun away and gently calms him down. But the teenage boy isn't convinced and calls for reinforcements before Santiago could seize him. They started the car connecting wires and drove away to the boat, but 2 cars started following them. Then, to escape without casualties, Santiago fires at their tires to halt them back and they easily get away. After getting out safely, they are gathered to share the money they brought, which is $5,334,120. Split between 5 shares comes $1,066,824, as the lawyer requested their signature to deposit into their accounts. They all signed their shares into Tom's family trust. The movie ends as they all say their goodbyes to each other, looking to figure out their next chapter in life, and William stays behind to talk to Santiago, who tells him he will maybe go see Giovanna over in Australia. William says goodbye and then gives him a piece of paper with coordinates of the large bags of money they dumped, with hopes he will do something good with it one day. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.